What's happening, everyone? There is a huge game this weekend, and to help me dissect it, there is so much jeopardy, so much going on. This is huge. I have the main man, the Don Robbie. Robbie, ahead of a Manchester City game, how are you feeling?
Nervous.
Would you reckon though?
It's massive, man.
It's like, do you know why I think it's so big for you? Because it's not only about the 3 points. Usually, football matches about accruing the 3 points, right? But this feels different. I think you need to win for in a sort of symbolic way. They slapped you up 3 times last year, and and you're going to have to put it right at some point. If you're ever going to beat them to a league, you're going to have to learn how to beat Man City. Is this going to be the time?
Hope so. I mean, listen, you are right. It's like a symbolic game. In that, we never beat them. I mean, last year, like you said, they beat us. They beat us in the FA Cup, narrow defeat. But in the league, they kind of comprehensively beat us both times, and kind of showed that they definitely deserve to win the title. You know what I mean? Because if you beat a team home and away pretty comprehensively, you deserve to, and both of you are going for that title, you deserve to win it. So I do think on a sort of symbolic level, we need to try and overcome Man City, you know what I mean? Because it's going back years now, we haven't beaten them.
Yeah.
We haven't got close to them. We haven't got close to them. And even last year when we were playing really, really well, we still didn't get close to them. So I feel that, yeah, this is a symbolic game. This is a game that I feel probably we need to win it even more than they do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we listen. We go into. I know we had the blip during the week, in the Champions League, but we go into the game in the league in good form. We're unbeaten. We haven't lost a game yet in the league, so we can take that into the game. City, of course, even though they won during the week, they've had a couple of defeats before that. So, they're going to be missing Rodri. So,
Yeah.
although we could be
You
missing
you've
players,
got injuries. And then
yeah,
you've got injuries, and do you know what I was thinking? Like when I talk, obviously I'm in a WhatsApp group with a lot of Arsenal fans, just from where I grew up, Rob. And there's a lot of talk, if Saka's out, if Martinelli's out, and do you know what I've been coming back and saying? I've been saying a midfield of Rice, Partey, and Odegaard can win any game single-handedly. That midfield is so good
yeah.
that I feel like the confidence should be there. It shouldn't be focused around what's going on up front if there are injuries. I think the
Yeah, I
midfield
mean,
is so
listen,
strong.
yeah, we don't know what's happening with the Saka one yet. I think we have to wait and see. We don't know what's happening with Martinelli. But even if, say, for instance, Martinelli's fit, he's not played for a little while now. He's been out for a few weeks.
Mm.
Partey's been out for a few weeks as well. Was back in the squad for the Champions League game, but didn't come on. Now you're right. I mean, I think the key to success in that game is if Mikel Arteta goes for a midfield of those three. We haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen a midfield of Rice, Partey, and Odegaard. We haven't
Mm.
seen that at all since we brought in Havertz, right? So I want to see that, because even at the start of the season, Thomas Partey was playing as a right back.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that, because I feel that is the key to the game. I mean, there's no Rodri. Rodri's missing. He's huge for them. No Rodri or De Bruyne. I think De Bruyne they can cover off because they've got so many
Yeah,
excellent.
creative players and that. Yeah.
Yeah, Bernardo Silva, Foden. They've got loads of players that can cover off, as great as De Bruyne is. But I think the one area where they find difficult to cover off is the Rodri one, because he's that good. He's probably the best defensive midfielder in the world right
Agreed.
now. So if we can try and dominate that midfield, and Declan Rice has been brilliant for us this season, and get Partey in there as well, I feel that that's where we could possibly have an edge over them.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a really fascinating game.
If there is no Martinelli, no Saka, do you think your front three is going to be Leandro Trossard, Eddie Nketiah, Gabriel Jesus as a sort of winger? Is that the front three he'll go for, you think?
Or he could go for what he went for in the Community Shield, which is playing Havertz down the middle, where Havertz was sort of holding up the ball. He actually did pretty well with it. He didn't score anything, but he actually did pretty well in that Community Shield game, sort of holding the ball up and bringing other players into play.
What would you like
So
to see there, Rob? Obviously, you're not speaking for anyone other than yourself here, but if you were if when the teams line up on the weekend, would you
Mm.
rather see Havertz up top or on the bench?
I'm not against seeing him up top.
Right.
I'm not against seeing him up top in this game because I just feel that, you know, they've got a very very good backline. City. It's very not everybody talks about their attackers, but
Ah, you're right.
defensively, it's like, you know,
Mm,
they're so strong. They've got like, you know, like these Akanjis and Diaz, and
yeah.
you know, I mean, now they've brought in that Gvardiol as well. Like they've got a really solid back line, right? Not
Mm.
easy to get in behind them. So sometimes you do need a player who's going to sort of hold it up a bit and bring other players into play. And then if we haven't got Saka, you do need impact players off the bench. And Eddie Nketiah, with his pace, maybe could come on later on and impact it. So I would actually start. It's a bit controversial, but I'd actually start with Havertz down the middle, put Jesus out onto the right hand side, and then on the left hand side, Trossard. But hopefully, you know what I mean, players like Saka. I mean, Saka, I think we do need him to be fit. He's such a key player
He
for us.
is. He is for
Yeah.
you. Of course he is. Look, I think that Bukayo Saka is a potential Ballon d'Or winner at some point in his career. I rate him so highly, and I really like him. And if you look at what he's done for England as well, he's made that position his own. He's sensational. But is there any truth in this? You played him 3 times last year, and 3 times he was ineffective. 3 times Pep Guardiola done a number on Bukayo Saka and completely took him out of the game. Obviously, you hope he's fit, but
Yeah.
is it quite the crisis?
Twice he played. I'm not sure if he played in the FA Cup game. I can't remember. But yeah, listen, they did do a number on him. They had Nathan Ake
Yeah.
marking him, very physical, really put it in on him, which like literally everybody else does. But they did nullify him in those games. But you know, I'm hoping that, you know, if he does play, he's learned from that, and you know, he can be a game changer. He's our best player, I
Mm.
believe. I mean, I believe, you know, he's our best player. So I want to see him on the pitch in a game like that
And
because
is this the
he,
best time to be playing them? Is it like when you think, obviously, they had a good win in Europe, but they
yeah,
got launched out the cup by Newcastle. They then were surprisingly beaten by Wolves in a result I don't think anyone saw coming. And
no,
they've no Kevin De Bruyne, no Rodri. If not now, Rob, when? When will you beat them if not now?
yeah, and there's no good time to play him, man, because they've got such a good squad. That's the annoying thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, other teams are missing super key players, and you think, this is it.
Yeah, yeah.
I was looking at their team yesterday. I was like, as I said, in that era with De Bruyne, I'm like, look at the players that they've got to bring in. Then they brought in new players like Doku and Gvardiol. These are top players. They've got a really good side they have. So they've got ways. Like, even I remember last year when they played us, they switched up how they played. They went very long
Mm.
in those games, very long and direct into Haaland. Now, what I would say is a lot of the games when we played them, we've been missing players, right? So, I mean, as we played them, we had no Saliba when we played them up in Manchester. We played them at the Emirates. There was no Thomas Partey at them times, and then, you know, there was no cover. You know, I mean, that was it. No
Yeah.
Partey. You know, so this time, hopefully, if Saka's fit, we will have a more of a fuller team, although maybe no Martinelli. But I think
Yeah.
it's more key for us to have our big guns
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Rather
agree with that.
than
Let them have who
they
they
can
want, but
weather
you
it.
have your ones there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they can weather it. But let's forget they've only lost one game this season. You know, and in the league, Carabao Cup's not always the measure, is it? Because, you know, teams rest players and stuff like that, and it's never. That's not an easy game to go to St James's Park.
Do you think we can read anything into Bukayo Saka being called up for England? Does that suggest that
Well,
he's fit? Does that suggest that he'll play?
to me, it does. To me, I'm like, why would he get called up for England if he's not fit? If he's not fit, surely Gareth Southgate would then pick somebody else, because there's a lot of players he could have tried to include if, you know, Saka's not fit. So that when I saw that, I was like, well, surely, you know, they wouldn't make it. I remember it's going to, you know, Arsenal would have a bit to say with that decision as well.
Mm.
Surely they'd be saying, well, listen, he ain't going to be fit, man, and we need him to rest for the next couple of weeks. And, you know, so the
Yeah.
fact that he's been called up suggests to me that he does have a chance of playing on the weekend.
It's gonna be huge, isn't it? Just before you go, Rob, can I just ask you? that, you know, like the overall feeling around Arsenal. I think off the back of last year, in my opinion, I'm not even speaking for Arsenal fans here. I thought you were sensational, like annoyingly good. And the result that really hit me was when you came to Stamford Bridge. I know you beat us home and away, and I suppose
Mm.
the home game may even seem more impressive. I think it was 3-1. It sounds bigger. But it was the 1-0 performance that you put in at Stamford Bridge for me. Like, we couldn't get the ball off you. It was a 1-0 thrashing. And that was a
Mm.
moment where I thought, they're going to do it. They are going to win the league. It was
Yeah.
the performance of champions going to Stamford Bridge, regardless of the context of what was going on at Stamford Bridge. It's a massive win for Arsenal. And ultimately, it petered out. But you were doing things that felt like champions, like going 2-0 up at Anfield in a title run-in. I know it didn't go your way, but you were 2-0
Mm.
up at Anfield in a title run-in. That's the behaviour of champions. This year's been slightly off that, and I predicted you to win the league. Do you still believe that you have that raw hunger that was on display throughout last year up until the bitter end? Or do
Oh
you
yeah,
think there is a vulnerability here?
there's a bit of both. Yeah, I mean, expectations are through the roof now at Arsenal. So, like there are fans that, if we suffer a draw in a game, it's like a disaster. Like because the expectations are through the roof. And I remember there was, before we had our game against Bournemouth, I think it's the previous week when we drew with Tottenham. And I speak to fans after games and that, and I was interviewing some fans, and literally the doom and gloom was like the league was gone.
Yeah.
And I was having to say to some fans, going, listen, there's only 7 games gone. I mean, chill, man. You know what I mean? We're still unbeaten. And they're like, nah, look what City are doing. You're never going to be able to chase them down if we drop any points, which is an impossible view to have. You're going to City drop points the following week, right? And then I looked at the league table, and I remember I got home that night, and I was feeling, obviously, you're leading twice against your deadly rivals Tottenham, you let it slip. I felt a bit downhearted, and then I looked at the table, and I'm like, we're 1 point worse off than we were at the same stage last season. And I was like, so there's still a lot of hope there. I think we're going to have to, like, as fans, and I hope the players are doing it, just temper their emotions and look at the season as a whole. I think last year, when I look back on it, we got a bit too excited. I mean, maybe because it was all unexpected, right? Probably got a bit too carried away, a bit too emotional towards the end of the season, where Man City were just calm. You know what I mean? They were calm. They knew the job ahead because of the experience they've had in doing it. They knew the job ahead and they just got it done. Now, I'm hoping that we've learned from that, and that this season we're calmer in our approach as players. Anyway, I know the fans.
Yeah.
The fans are ready. They ain't calm, right? They're already, like, oh, we're overplaying Saka and losing it. Oh, we dropped points. We're in a good position still. We're unbeaten. If we could win that game at the weekend, I mean, again, we'd be in a great position. But again, you still don't get carried away.
Yeah, I agree. 3 points, isn't it?
It's 3 points. All right.
3 points, but there is a message within those 3 points. If you
There's a message within those 3 points, but still, that message is we can beat City, but there's still a very, very long way to go. That's the message. It's not, oh, we can beat City, we can win the league. Because as I said, when you look at their team, it's better, I feel, than it was. I didn't think they'd be able to do that because they've lost big players in Mahrez and
Gundogan, loads of
and I have to say their recruitment's been very good, and they're possibly, like, especially defensively, they're very strong.
Yeah, I know. We always focus on the attack. You're bang on. They are the most aggressive, mean, and stingy defense. I agree.
I think I saw some stat the other day where they very rarely concede more than 1 goal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So they've really strengthened in that, and I still feel that when you look on it on the whole, they're a better overall team than us. You have to admit it. You have to be real about it. But it's a long season. There's lots of twists and turns.
Can I push you for a prediction then, Rob? What do you reckon? Cards on the table here.
I'm going to go for 2-1, man. It's about time, man. It's about time.
Yeah. I think it has to be now. If you don't beat them now without Rodri, they've lost a couple of games. They haven't got De Bruyne. Then I kind of agree when.
And then they'll be like, look, we didn't even have Rodri, and we still, as you would say, slapped you.
No, it's going to
so
be.
we've got to get. I would love to see us get it done. And listen, the omen is just before the last international break, we played another Manchester team and beat them. Let's do that to City.
Amazing. Rob, thank you so much for joining me. Really do appreciate it. There, you just heard it from the main man himself, the Don Robbie. Always an honour to welcome him onto this channel. He's doing some fantastic things over on AFTV. Robbie, can't thank you enough, mate. Have a wonderful day. And I would say good luck. But to be totally frank, I hope you get beat. In a bit.